Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another podcast here on Green Ninja Overtime, the only podcast in the world with no editing, no BS, all raw footage filmed and uploaded just like that. Kind of messed up the intro there, I'm not gonna lie, guys, but again, no editing. We ain't doing any edits on that. So, welcome back, guys. Today is gonna be quite a productive day, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna get a couple things out of the way first. I have about 7 videos that I need to film and get uploaded by tonight. And then I got work tomorrow, so therefore it's gonna be a really round the clock productive thing. I have about 4 podcasts I need to upload, which lucky for you guys. If you guys are just tuned for the podcast, thank you. For all you audio or people watching the video, great, you guys get extra content today. I also have 2 videos I have to upload on the gaming and review channel. Those are reaction vids. If you guys haven't seen those, you guys should go check it out. And finally, I have 1 vlog that I need to upload. So, yeah. But, however, I'm very excited to be filming a lot of podcast videos today because I do need to divert most of my, attention towards the podcast a little bit more. Not to mention, I have some very good topics. And one of the last podcasts I'm going to upload tonight, that's going to be the one you want to tune in for because there's going to be huge announcements. And I'm going to go all into detail about it. I talked about it a little bit in the vlogs, but I'm going to talk more in depth about it here on the podcast. But this episode of the podcast is going to be fully dedicated to 3D printing, filament, and all the stuff you need to know and how to get started with it. So, if you guys don't know, ever since the start of the channel, I've been hinting or mentioning discreetly in my vlogs about how I love my 3D printers. And I kid you not, out of everything in my room, my streaming setup, my podcasting setups, obviously the vlogs are the most important things to me because that's where I connect with you guys the most, and that's where I talk about my life and everything. That's my true passion. But out of all my setups, gaming, streaming, podcasting, whatever, right? My favorite piece of tech and equipment in my room still has to be the 3D printers because there's nothing else like a 3D print. You know, with PCs and everything, they all have the same functions, right? It's just different specs and everything. But with 3D printing, you can make your own thing. You can really let your creativity and imagination flow, and it's very useful. I could if I needed screws or bolts, I don't have to run to my local hardware store like Home Depot, which is a 5-minute drive away, wait in line, find the stuff I need, buy it for $20 when I could make it at home for a little in half an hour. Yes, it's more time consuming, but again, I'm saving down the cost. So I'm just saying it has a really bunch of handy applications, and also that is why I'm printing my armor right now. If you guys don't know, I just want to give you guys a little bit of cost estimate. Yes, 3D printers are expensive, but they pay for itself over time. You can literally print out maintenance parts for the printer if something breaks. You could upgrade the printer. It literally upgrades itself because you're just printing out new parts for the machine. So therefore, it's paying off for itself, and there's rarely any upgrades that you have to do. If you treat your printers right, you know what you're doing, everything is good to go. I've had my first printer that I bought for over 5.5 years now, and it still works flawlessly. I've not leveled the bed since I've taken it out of the package. I've not leveled it anymore, and the prints are still leveled. It works great. Everything is fine. So, in the podcast today, I'm going to go over why I bought another one, why I bought a 3D printer in the first place, filament, materials, cost of everything, and a lot more. So we're going to dive into everything. The more detailed stuff, I can't really help with that because I'm not going to lie, I don't know much about either. I just need the basic functionality of it. So let's go over the simple thing first, and that is cost. These things are very cost effective. Depending on what brand you buy, from what company, prices in the printers can vary. It also varies on the size of the print as well, because there's something called a print volume that basically determines how large you could print your objects. Most 3D printers, the smallest 3D printer in the world costs around, I think, $100, and it has a print volume of very small. That's all I know. It's very small, but I have seen videos of it, and it does work. And that's really great for people who are getting into 3D printing, learning the curves and edges. But, however, in my opinion, with most people saying that you should buy, the cheapest 3D printers or one that just works, in my defense, I feel like you should buy the best 3D printer first. Because 3D printing is difficult. Learning the software, learning how to just print in general, learning how to do all sorts of coding, 3D design, That's very difficult, and I feel like if you buy the best 3D printer out there with the best supported software, that's going to help you a lot in the process of learning, because it's going to be a lot more user interface friendly, and it's just going to function a lot better. So therefore, when I say when buying your first 3D printer, buy a good one. Don't, save the money on it, because a lot of third-party 3D printers that are like a couple $100, there's not a specific supported software. Everybody just uses Kira, which is a software made by Ultimaker, and everybody just hacks that software and uses their own profiles for the machines. So therefore, what I think is you need a good brand, which is why I feel like on your first print, don't save on it until you know what you're doing and you've done enough research about it. Then you should buy a second one that's a different brand, or if you do enough research the first time then and you feel safe doing it, then buy a good one. Buy like a cheaper one your first time as well. But the main thing, as with all of my topics, is research, guys. I cannot stress this enough. You guys need to research as much as possible. That's the number one thing I do with all my things. If I want to learn a new hobby or something, it's always research. I'm always on Google. I'm always Googling a lot of questions, reading forums, going on websites, watching YouTube videos. So therefore, that is what I recommend if you guys are getting your first printer. Pick a good one. And there's a bunch of good brands out there. MakerBot, Ultimaker, Prusa. There's a bunch of good stuff, right? And then with third-party printers, there's also a bunch of, good brands. Well, mix of 50-50s up and down reviews. Creeality, Artillery, or Innovo, as they call it. And just a bunch of different other printers. However, what I want to talk about cost is not only of the printer, but of the materials and how you can get everything done. And a good example I want to use is my armor. Typically, if I want to buy a good set of resin casted armor, like from Imperial Surplus or anything, it's going to run me about $1,000. And that's not including materials too, like sandpaper, paint, filler primer, Bondo, fiberglass, all that stuff. It's not going to cost the materials as well. This is just $1,000 for a raw kit of DIY armor. This is nothing like finished. Nothing is finished right. It's not painted. It's literally cut right out of the mold and shipped to you. So there's a lot of work that has to go into it. That's $1,000. But however, even if I couldn't 3D print my own armor, but I decide to buy a 3D kit and a 3D printed armor, it only runs me around $300 to $400. That is a drastic discount right there. $600, $700 off. Why? Because 3D printing materials are a lot cheaper, it's a lot less time consuming, and not to mention, it's a lot more accurate. As you can see with most people that buy resin casted armor kits, this is the thing, and I could discuss another topic on the podcast if you want, all about armor and prop making. But however, besides the point is, a lot of people that buy resin casted kits or anything, a lot of times you'd see the seller say one size fits all. It's meant for, realistically, a lot of the armors that people cast and mold are designed for someone that is 6 foot or around 150 pounds. I am nowhere near that. I am 5'8", and I am 130 pounds. So therefore, I have to do a lot of work. I have to cut away a lot of the material in order to fit my height and my body shape. And then for the people that are over 6 foot or over 150 pounds, because we all have different body sizes and weights, for those people that are over those numbers, they gotta increase and add material, which is even more difficult. Trimming it is the easy part, but adding material to a already casted part is super difficult. So therefore, it's not ideal. And unless you know what you're doing with prop making and everything, it's not ideal to buy a armor kit that is resin casted. And no seller out there is gonna remake a whole kit of armor according to your own measurements. It'd be nice, right? It'd be nice to have that, but it's not possible. No one's gonna do that. So therefore, that's where 3D printing comes in. It's great because it is digital measurements taken from a file, and it can be scaled accordingly to your body exactly. So if I was 132.8 pounds or 5'8" and a quarter inches, I could scale the armor accordingly, and everything would fit on my body precisely, and I don't have to do anything about it. It prints out, all I gotta do is sand it, and bam, done. So that's why it's a lot more cost effective if you are going to buy a kit. And especially more cost effective if you can make your own kit with a 3D printer. That is where a lot of things come in. A roll of filament, a roll of 1 kilogram filament usually costs around $20. I have gone through not even 2 rolls and I've printed out half an armor set. So for having my own 3D printer, that was around $400, right? The printer that I'm currently using to print out my armor. And then a roll of filament is around $20. So I have barely gone through 2, which is $40. So I estimated that my armor was gonna go for 3.5 kilograms. So that's really a little bit over $60. For a little over $60, I have managed to print out a full set of armor in comparison to $300 for if you paid someone to 3D print for you, or $1,000 if you're buying a resin casted kit. So you can see where a lot of people are using 3D printers nowadays to implement into their daily use and save a lot more money. So I'm just saying, it is crazy expensive sometimes for filament, considering, but it all depends on your print. Even if I'm printing like large scale objects like armor pieces and everything, I am still saving so much more, and it's paid off for itself, where I could implement and use the money to buy supplies like sandpaper and whatnot and still have a bunch of leftovers, because the whole armor with all the supplies included, it will probably run me at around $110 maximum. It's nowhere gonna be near the 300 mark and not $1,000 mark. So therefore, I'm saving so much money where I can implement that towards other parts, which is like camera equipment or vlogging. But that's besides the point, right, guys? Basically, that is why it's cost effective and why I highly recommend you guys get a 3D printer. It is great. It's phenomenal. It is a fantastic piece of machinery. Now, there are, like I said, a bunch of good brands out there that you could get. Do your own research, figure out what you want best, and always, of course, take into account of your budget. You guys have also asked me which printers that I have. For my first ever printer that I bought, I got the MakerBot Replicator 5th generation. It's still my favorite printer to this day, just because it's flawless, it's easy, I never have to worry about issues with it. The only reason why I bought a second printer was because the print bed wasn't big enough. I can only print like small objects on there, and that was the biggest printer too. And I needed a bigger printer to print armor pieces or helmets, which is why I needed a minimum, a print volume of 300 by 300 by 400. With 3D models, there's always going to be a length times width times height measurement algorithm, just like in like geometry. So this is where geometry comes into place, and this is where I really wish I did better in math, because I have to scale a lot of things with 3D modeling and 3D engineering, and it's quite difficult when you fail at math. So basically what I got next was a Creeality CR10S5. I got a Creeality just because people said that it's a great brand, but little did I found out it's a mix of ups and downs. It's a 50-50% chance if your printer's going to work or not. Mine unfortunately didn't. And with Creeality, their customer service is horrible. They do not want you to return the printer to them at any cost, even if it has issues or anything. It's so rare that you get to be in like good contact with them. So therefore, I managed to dispute the transaction, get a refund on the printer. They never said anything about returning the printer to them. So now I literally have a broken printer sitting in the upstairs living room, taking up space. Hopefully I'm able to repair it if I can. If not, I'll try and get someone to repair it. If not, I'll sell it for parts or sell the printer in whole, because all the parts are stocked. Everything is not used. So, and I know a couple people locally that are interested in 3D printing and everything, so I could sell the printer. But after that whole incident and ordeal, I settled with the Artillery Sidewinder X1 by Innovo, which is the best 3D printer that I have right now. Hands down, it's my favorite printer. Just, even though I said the MakerBot is good, this thing is super quiet, it prints quickly, and it's a lot more flexible. With MakerBot, they're really picky about the filament, which is the material that it prints from. It rarely uses third-party filament. It has to use its own brand. So therefore, it's about $50 a roll. That's twice the amount of what I would pay for normal third-party filament. Right now, I'm paying $20, and the Artillery could use most third-party brand filaments, it can also print out so many different materials. PLA, ABS, TPU, PETG, wood, carbon fiber, iron, copper, bronze, steel, so many different things. Silk. Like, there's such a variety, and all I have to do is just like modify certain parts of the printer to accept the filament and the material, adjust the temperature, and it can print. And it's amazing. So therefore, this is my like go-to printer now, and I rarely use my MakerBot unless I like really need two printers right at the same time. It's so much quieter. I'm able to leave it in the upstairs living room in an open area, printing 24/7, not waking anybody up. Meanwhile, with the MakerBot, I had to close my doors, and you would still hear the printer from downstairs. Big difference, and it really costs a lot less. The MakerBot was around like $2,000. However, the artillery is only around $450. So you can see why a lot of people have so many printers. They start what's called a printing farm, and basically what that is, you buy multiple printers to start printing multiple objects at once or anything. I know a guy locally, if you guys haven't seen on the vlogs, a guy that was usually get a commission to help print armor for me. He had 5 sidewinders and like 8 different, 3 other printers. So he had like 8 3D printers. I have 3 right now. 1 is not working, and then I'm using just 1 just because it's printing quite fast. Because for a full set of armor, I managed to finish it almost. I'm estimating I could finish the whole armor, including helmet and everything, in literally a week. Because it's barely been a week when I started printing armor. So therefore, in 1.5 weeks, I should be done, and I could start, doing all the process. So we've gone over the costs. We've gone over different brands you can get and a lot of different things. And it really depends on what your printing needs are. Are you going to be printing small parts, or are you going to be a prop maker and print large parts? If you are, definitely go with something that it has a large bed. 300 by 300 by 400 is usually a good size to start with. It'll print most of your things. And then another thing is you got to learn how to use slicing softwares. Slicing softwares are basically a software that prepares your files for printing. So all 3D files come in a format called STL. All your files that you're going to download of 3D objects are STL, and you have to convert them into what is called a G-code file. So that is where the slicing software comes into place. So in your slicer software, you could usually edit a lot and tweak a lot of things. Adjust the size of your prints, rotate it into what sort of orientation you want to print it in, adjust printer settings and whatnot. And then finally, when you're ready and you finish adjusting all that, you slice it. And that will transfer the STL file and convert it into a G code, which then your printer will be able to read and print from. So that's what a slicing software is. And there's a lot of good softwares out there. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. The best free one, as everybody knows, is Kira by Ultimaker. It's a great software, quite user-friendly. There's also good paid software, Simplify 3D. And there's also another good software called Meshmixer, even though most people use it just for cutting like objects down to a smaller size so they can fit it on their print bed. So therefore, that is some of the softwares. And then now we could go on to filament, because we pretty much covered most of the objects and kind of topics we want to talk about with 3D printing. Now we go with the type of filament and material you can print, and there is a lot. I am not sure how many there are correctly, but if we go on to Google here, there's a lot of good filament companies. First of all, there is a company that I use a lot, and that is Zyletech. Zyletech makes great filament. They're a company based in Texas. They send me they give me great discounts, and they let me buy in bulk with a lot of their filament, so it's great. They also have a lot of other materials. So if we go to their website, we can check it out. So very, very good. They're also not too expensive. As you can see, they have a lot of different filaments that you can choose from. ABS. There's also something called, which I haven't discussed really much, it's called resin printers. So basically, it forms the 3D model out of liquid resin, and it cures by UV light. So if you guys want to learn more about that, You guys can search it up, or if you guys want, I could also do a topic covering that. So, anyways, we got a lot of products we could print from ABS. They sell specialty types of filament, which is like carbon fiber, a bunch of like metals that you could print from. They also got dissolvable filaments, PLA, which is the most common one. It's a basically sort of like weaker type of plastic, PETG, and a lot of stuff, right? So the first material we want to talk about is PLA. PLA is the most common form of 3D printing material. It's all printers accept it. It's a very great material. It's strong, and it has a low melting temperature, which makes it easy to print with, which is also a bad thing. Having a low melting temperature means that it's very easy to melt, which means if you are like leaving your prints on in a hot car, for example, on a summer day or something, it's easy to get deformed, melt by its own, and whatnot. Because PLA starts, you could print PLA at 190 degrees Celsius, between 190 and 220 C. So therefore, very low melting temperature, and therefore it doesn't take a lot. Next material that we want to talk about is ABS. ABS is the most common form of plastic found in everything. Commercial grade products, everything. Plastic containers, a lot of products have ABS. ABS is a lot more durable. It's a lot more stronger. However, a lot of people don't print with ABS just because it's very difficult to print with. You have to modify your printer settings and a lot of parts in order to accept ABS, and not to mention you need to have an open space or a well ventilated area to print in ABS, because for that to happen, ABS has a lot of toxic fumes that you don't want to breathe in, so therefore ABS is very difficult to print with. Then you got PTG, which is a mix of PLA and ABS. It has the easy melting temperature of PLA and it has the strength of ABS, so that's PTG. Then you got TPU. TPU is flexible filament, or what some people like to call rubber filament, because it's flexible. Normally you would want to print that for stuff you need flexibility on, but TPU is flexible filament. After that you got wood, which they just infuse like wood grains into it, so therefore you got wood filament. You got silk filament. You've got carbon fiber, iron, steel, wood, bronze, copper, all that good stuff, right? So you got a bunch of filament options you can print from, and a lot of good companies sell it too. Zaltech, Sunlu, Repco filament. Repco is quite expensive, but the quality is off the charts. If you guys want solid prints by using PLA material, Repco is the best thing to go with. They are a lot more expensive, but there's no other brand I would trust more in keeping the strength and structural integrity of the build more than Repco. The tensile strength is off the charts. So yeah. Anyways, that is the filament part, and I think we pretty much covered everything actually. So we covered the cost and the reasons why you should get a 3D printer, the research part, brands, and also the filament. So therefore, I think we pretty much gone over the 3D printing basics. If you guys want a more in-depth video of this subject, or if you guys want to learn more about other like 3D printers like resin cast or anything, drop a comment down below and we'll definitely be covering those. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was informative. Hopefully it was helpful and gave you somewhat of an insight or some advice or my opinions on 3D printing, and hopefully that helps you out, guys. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. I need to drink some water because I'm having some trouble talking. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Like this video if you liked it. Share this video with friends and family. Comment down below. And as always, guys, I'll see you guys on the next podcast. And I'm signing out. Peace.